Shasta mentioned, it is a step that no one had ever thought of taking in the past, and no one had ever dared to take, because we're already seeing the repercussions. In Tamil Nadu, there are protests. We saw yesterday protests in Mathura. We're seeing Chief Minister Jayalalitha boycotting the swearing-in ceremony. In fact, the entire state has boycotted the swearing-in ceremony, Tamil Nadu. So we are already seeing the repercussions. But to take a bold step like inviting SAARC nations, what do you think was the eventual idea behind it?
I can only say he's a strategic player. He's been already shown to the India and the world that if he has to perform his governance, first he thought actually that all neighboring countries, because always the external security.
Right.
He is today, by inviting all the SAARC leaders, he has proved that he has also given a wake-up call all to concerned ministry, all the defense, army, force, police personnel.
Mr. Prasad, hold that thought. We've got some big news coming in. The Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje is reportedly upset. It is being said that Vasundhara Raje is holding a meeting with 25 MPs in Bikaner Bhavan. It is said that she is reportedly upset with no representation from Rajasthan in the cabinet. Of course, the BJP MP from Bikaner, Arjun Ram Meghwal, has been called by Rajnath, and he stated that he will go only if Vasundhara asks me to. This was a point that we were discussing as well, Nishita, that some states may feel poorly represented, and Vasundhara Raje seems to be rather offended by the fact that Rajasthan has not been represented well in the cabinet.
That's right. We can already see, in fact, even as the names were trickling in, it was very evident that states like Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, which gave a complete majority to the BJP and which is now believed to be a BJP bastion, have been very underrepresented in the cabinet this time around. And Vasundhara Raje, the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, reportedly very upset with such a development. Well, let's quickly ask Professor Datta what he thinks about the same. Well, Professor Datta, coming back to you. Before that, we'll go across to my colleague Varghese, who will give us the latest details on the same. Well, Varghese, over to you.
Well, Nishita, at present, what you should understand is that even before there is the proper swearing in, there's already a kind of dissent that is happening from Rajasthan cadres, especially Vasundhara Raje is quite upset with the fight of 25 MPs being sent from Rajasthan. It's kind of an out-of-out and in spite of 25 MPs being sent from Rajasthan to the Lok Sabha for the BJP, they have been ignored and quite underrepresented with regards to the positions that have been given in the new ministries. And this has, in fact, not only upset Vasundhara Raje, it has upset the entire BJP in Rajasthan also. The cadres are also quite worried about the fact. And what we are looking at is that no representation from Rajasthan is there in the cabinet, and BJP MP from Bikaner, Arjun Ram Meghwal, who has been called by Rajnath to attend the swearing in, but he has said that he will listen only if Vasundhara Raje asks him to go for the swearing-in ceremony. So this is the kind of situation that has occurred, and there seems to be a kind of dissent within the party now itself. Before you could see it, in fact, come from government, and this is quite of concern now for the top leaders because of the fact that Rajasthan plays a very important role in the Hindi heartland with regards to BJP support, and Vasundhara Raje is a very prominent regional leader, and she can, in fact, play spoil sport with the entire happening through. But at present, it looks like there is hectic diplomacy happening between the Rajasthan cadres as in the national level, Nishita.
Right. Thank you for joining us with all those details there, Varghese. Well, let's go back to Professor Datta there. Professor Datta, precisely what we were talking about just a while back already, dissidents coming in of sorts. Vasundhara Raje reportedly upset with lack of representation for Rajasthan in the cabinet.
You know, part of the problem for BJP is in states like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat, you have a lot of senior leaders who are in the state ministry, and then you know, the bench strength, especially at the central level, hasn't been so great, partly because for the past 10 years UPA government has been in office. So that's one of the key reasons why you have less representations from these states. If you make a list of senior leaders who could have been accommodated from these three states, that's going to be a very short list, right? So if Jaswant Singh was there, he would have been naturally one of the main claimants for key portfolio, key ministry, right? So that's one part of it. And the other thing is, these kinds of political shenanigans will keep on happening in BJP, but what Modi's leadership is supposed to represent is an ability to overcome such challenges. One of the reasons why Modi was made the face of BJP during these elections was to ensure that people will fall into line, right? People will not, even if they are very upset, they won't sabotage party. And that has been the case so far until now. And even in the last 10 days, we haven't heard too many grumbling, right? Too much of grumbling on the part of state leaders. This, I'm sure, they'll find some way to accommodate state leaders, and it won't be a big issue for them. The political management will always happen. You have leaders like Gadkari and Rajnath Singh who will take care of, or Arun Jaitley who will take care of these matters.
Right, Professor Datta, also, do you think to a great extent this was avoidable? Because when you look at states like Uttar Pradesh, they made a conscious decision to ensure that it is well represented, keeping in mind the significant victory that they did have in the state. But it is the same case with Rajasthan. Do you think to a certain extent the Saffron Party is taking it for granted that in states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh or Gujarat, they do have a sizable support?
You don't have senior leaders, that's part of the problem that they're facing. They may have, had people like Amit Shah running the elections, taking care of political strategies, but whom do you want them to accommodate? And if Modi wants to run a lean government, if it has to be an efficient government which is not going to be as big as an 80-member UPA government, the kinds of governments that we have seen so far, then there will be some discomfort on the part of state units.
Right, Professor Datta, you mentioned earlier, in fact, while telling us that so far the Modi has been able to control it. So far, Modi has been the ultimate voice within the party. But now the elections are over. The BJP has got the clear majority. Now that it is time for government formation, it is time for governance and administration, do you think the same amount of discipline will continue within the Bharatiya Janata Party?
It won't be easy to maintain discipline, because once you have power, there will be clamoring for power because it is tangible. It is something that you can exercise. So, it is also important in politics, because if you don't have access to ministries, if you don't have access to state resources, how are you going to take care of your interests, right? The groups that you, who have elected you, who have sent you to parliament, who have been at the heart of the political strategy that your state units have come up with. So, that's the contradiction all governments, all parties will have to come to terms with. On the one hand, they have this idea of efficiency, idea of good governance, but also there are interest groups to be accommodated. You have to, that's where most of the state resources are utilized, right? So how do you manage this is a big challenge, even for an established political party. But these kinds of hiccups will surely something that we will keep on witnessing. Otherwise, how will media survive, right? We also need some new twists and turns in order to talk on our television studios or.
Well, right here in our Newsnight studios, we're discussing the big day of Narendra Modi. Today is the day when Narendra Modi will be sworn in as the Prime Minister of the country, along with his cabinet ministers. Well, much mystery has surrounded his cabinet. Narendra Modi has held his cards very, very close to his chest, not divulging any detail as to who is getting what portfolio. What we have seen him do in the past 10 days is hold a series of meetings, not only with his own party members, but also his allies.
Absolutely. In fact, what we're looking at is a regime change after a decade. And what also needs to be highlighted is that a chaiwala's dream of becoming the Prime Minister has finally come true. Narendra Modi undoubtedly is a man who has truly donned many hats. And today we take you through the entire journey of Narendra Modi.
The Supreme Court called him a modern-day Nero. For his political rivals, he is a peddler of death. A polarizer, a dictator who was the chief minister of Gujarat as the streets saw the worst attack on the minority since 1947. Valorized by his supporters as a Hindu Hridaya Samrat, the man who single-handedly took on the Congress has now emerged a clear winner. It is up to him to fulfill promises he made in his campaigns. After a year-long bitter battle, all eyes are now on him and his vision for India.
My idea of India, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. My idea of India, Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. My idea of India, Ano Bhadraha Kritavo Yantu Vishwataha. My idea of India, Sarva Pantha Samabhav.
Often admired by the young and aspirational, he has been a favorite ever since the 2014 elections were announced. He successfully transformed electoral politics into a one-man show. He is a self-styled Dabang, the man with a mythical chest. The cult of Narendra Damodar Modi was dismissed repeatedly as a marketing gimmick, but it lasted longer than expected, as history now stands witness. In the end, the Modi wave has indeed engulfed the entire nation. Moditwa today subsumes the sung-cherished idea of Hindutva, and probably that did the trick for the BJP this election.
My idea of India, Satyamev Jayate. My idea of India, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam.
Those who once ranked above Modi are now mere silent spectators. The BJP today is Narendra Modi and Modi is the BJP. Roadblocks in Modi's journey. Vajpayee was the Prime Minister when the 2002 riots happened. Clearly dismayed over the way he handled the riots, the senior BJP politician had only one advice for Modi: preserve Rajdharam. A popular phrase from the Mahabharata was the only thing Vajpayee told Modi.
राजधर्म का पालन करें, राजा के लिए, शासक के लिए, प्रजा प्रजा में भेद नहीं हो सकता, न जन्म के आधार पर, न जाति के आधार पर, न संप्रदाय के आधार पर। हम भी वही कर रहे हैं साहब। मुझे विश्वास है कि नरेंद्र भाई यही कर रहे हैं।
In 2002, when the national executives of BJP met in Goa, Vajpayee wanted Modi to be removed as the chief minister of Gujarat. It was actually Advani who stepped in to build a case for his shishya to stay on as the chief minister.
अखबार भी लगातार लिख रहे हैं कि मोदी के जीवन में गोवा बहुत लकी है। मित्रों, मुद्दा मोदी के लक का नहीं है। यही गोवा है जिसने 2002 में मुझे गुजरात की सेवा आगे बढ़ाने के लिए परवाना दिया।
11 years later, when the BJP's national executives met again in Goa, topmost on the agenda was to appoint Modi as the party's party committee chairman for the 2014 elections.
मैंने गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी को चुनाव अभियान समिति का चेयरमैन घोषित किया है।
As the curtains came down on the Advani-Vajpayee era, a new first among equals had emerged. Ironically, in his quest for the top job, the only opposition for Modi came from a man who defended him in 2002, L.K. Advani. In a letter to BJP President Rajnath Singh, Advani targeted Modi, saying the party had lost its ideals and is now hostage to personal agendas. Advani even resigned from key party posts. But his protege's rise was irreversible. Barely 48 hours later, persuaded by senior leaders of BJP and RSS, Advani returned meekly to the party fold. Now, after BJP's phenomenal 2014 victory, Advani is also chanting the Namo mantra. Modi's rise to power was not a path laid on a bed of roses. He faced challenges from party heavyweight Shankar Singh Waghela to former Chief Minister Keshubhai Patel and the ultra-right-wing VHP strongman Praveen Tagodia. In years that followed, Modi single-handedly blunted each one of them, driving Waghela to Congress, Keshubhai to the background and Tagodia to silence.